Ibra di testa, Tonali, gol! Sandro! Meritato! Sandro! Gol!
Touching nothing that I do, I mean no disrespect. The bars today was dropping over there, but make them switch connects. Get anything I want and making sure I never miss a step. Only thing we ever focused on is secrets better kept.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Serie A Spotlight. This is episode 84 and we're your hosts Matt
and Jake,
here to give you guys our 2022-2023 Serie A season review.
You bet your sweet ass we will. We've got our tops, we've got our flops, we've got our unsung heroes, we've got our best wins, and we've got our worst losses for each of the 20 Serie A teams in the 2022-2023 season.
Yes sir, we've got our sloppy toppies, we've got our floppy toppies as well. We've got it all in this episode.
Yes, we most certainly do.
Do not forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, wherever you guys get your content. And don't forget to rate us wherever you're listening to this podcast on your favorite podcasting platforms.
Yes, please. We've got our Martini Rosso today. This is going to be a fun one. We've got more people joining our Patreon, guys. You should definitely join the family. We've got a WhatsApp chat that's popping. We have a few too many Premier League fans in there, I think, right now. We need some Serie A soldiers right now, guys.
3/4 Prem heads. One of them is Mintoff. I wouldn't consider him a Prem head.
I think he appreciates Italian football.
But look, the Prem heads that are on our chat know ball.
They do.
They're not too biased. They call their league the best league in the world, which is obviously something that they say to make themselves sleep better at night.
Shout out Tonna, shout out Teo, shout out Santi.
Yes,
our three Prem brains.
We've got one of our patrons coming to Malta, boys. I doubt it's to see us. I'm sure maybe we were some kind of factor in the decision making, maybe. But we're going to a festival together. Yeah. We might do a little night out or something.
That'll be fun. Go to the beach.
Yes.
Relax a bit.
So if you want to meet your favorite two airheads, join our Patreon.
Yes, why not? Please. It's only $3.99 a month, guys, and we stream. We'll give you bonus content. The chat is popping every day. News, discussion. It's a vibe, you know. And everyone's hilarious in there, bro. The Andy guy kills.
Yo, Andy's fucking hilarious. Yeah. But just tell them, man.
Yeah. Tell them what?
Oh yeah, Sandro.
Yes, alright, you're right. And he's gone. The guy in our intro video. No, you are not listening to the Sempre Milan podcast. This is
shout out to Sempre Milan podcast. You guys are amazing.
They're great. Shout out to Wally. Shout out to AJ. All amazing. Tonali to Newcastle for about 80 million euros, 90 million euros, 70 million euros, depends on who's reporting it.
Yeah.
I think the latest figure was about 80 million euros with bonuses. Now, before we get into it, bro, initial reaction. Yes,
no, devastated. Initial reaction, Sandro Tonali is my favorite player in the world.
Yeah.
I adore him. I adore everything about him. I adore his industry. I adore his passion, his work ethic, his skill set, how much he's grown. I'm going to miss him tremendously.
Yes.
Now that the news has settled, I understand that the markup is remarkable. I understand that if another Serie A team probably went in for Sandro Tonali, the price tag might have been 40 million euros at most. I understand that Milan need the money and that with that money they can reinforce into other talent. And if there's one core member that you would remove for 90 million euros, don't let it be Leao, don't let it be Mike, don't let it be Theo. Yeah. Unfortunately, it has to be Sandro.
Yes, when you look at the players that Milan could sacrifice to make a markup, of course there aren't many, because you've either got your superstars who you shouldn't be selling, like your Leaos, your Theos, and then you've got the ones who won't sell for that much, your Salamakers, your fucking Kalulu, they sell in the early days, Benacer. But then you've got certain players who are rated very highly. Certain players who are rated more than their actual value.
They would have a certain profile, which is them being young, Italian, you know.
For example, for me there are two players that Milan could choose to sacrifice to cash in on, Tonali and Tomori. Now, people would say that, Tonali was the future captain. He was a bandiera for Milan. He would have stayed for life. Salary wasn't an issue with him. It's true, but
It's valid.
You have to
It is a
remember
valid
that.
argument.
But again, football is a business. Football is, again, and I don't want to go on about how the soul is gone from the game, because when you look at fucking the past, the history of Milan, man, the players that were always closest to the fans' hearts have always left.
Yeah.
Apart from, okay, you've got the rare ones. You've got Maldini, you've got Baresi, you've got all those. Like, you know, you've got the legends.
All those, you've got those two absolute icons.
Sure, and then you've got like the likes of Inzaghi, Gattuso, but they were only... They came to Milan at a time when Milan were winning a lot.
Yes,
so there was a reason
yes.
for them to stay, you know, and there was a reason for Milan to keep them because they were the highest level. And probably at the time, offers above their wealth didn't come in, above their value. We must remember that we need to keep a cool head, guys. People need to keep a cool head. You can't freak out because of a decision like this. You know, you look at Kaká, Shevchenko, these guys, all the great Milan players were always sold. And so it's nothing new. Football isn't dead, you know. The thing is as well that you need to remember that Tonali had agreed personal terms with Inter before joining Milan. So when you think about the plastic, artificial nature of football and Milan selling this guy who bleeds Milan, at the end of the day, this guy who bleeds Milan was very close to joining Inter, man. Very close.
Yeah,
So,
I remember that.
You know,
To me, now, as much as obviously in a romantic world, we've got Locatelli, we've got Calabria, we've got Tonali, we've got Colombo, Cutrone, all these youths that came through the rankings and would die for Milan and they suddenly became the best team in the world. But that's not realistic, is it? At the end of the day, football teams are not family, they are sport teams. And sport teams must do what it takes in order to stay ahead of the game. Continuity is good, shaking things up sometimes is even better. Now, a weird decision considering that Milan never replaced Kessie and now they just removed Tonali and it's like...
And Benacer is injured.
Benacer is injured and then he comes back and there's the African Cup of Nations. It's like, what's going on here? I trust that with improvement in mind, there are replacements in mind and that maybe, I don't know, Fratesi, Seco, maybe some people will come in. I don't care as long as the team improves.
That's the important thing.
That's all.
That's the important thing.
And for us to see if the team's going to improve, we're going to need to wait, not until the end of the transfer window, but the end of next season. That's how long we need to wait.
Yeah.
Maybe even longer, man.
Yeah, that's a valid point, bro. Yeah, if Thuram is brought in on a free, for example, and the Milan have 90 million to splash on top of the allocated budget, we don't know how much that is, and you need to bring in a midfielder, a trequartista, and the right winger. Let's say Thuram is a done deal, for example, which it isn't. Kamada's very close as well, on a free as well. So that leaves right wing and centre mid, and you've got 90 million on top of your budget.
But they're going to need two centre mids, man, Milan.
That's
need two
the
centre
case.
mids.
Yes, actually, you're right. But again, it's just good money. It's an offer you can't refuse. It's an offer you can't refuse.
Like I said, it's 50 more than any Italian team would have spent.
Honestly, if you have a player who's worth 50 million at most and an offer of 80 million comes in, you have to sell him, man. It's as simple as that. And at the end of the day, Tonali had to give his go-ahead to leave anyway, because Tonali could have put his foot down and said, I'm not fucking going anywhere, and he would have stayed there. So everyone relax.
I'm a total emotional mess because I'm going to miss Sandro and I'm going to miss his industry, his passion, his professionalism, his maturity. But at the end of the day, like we said, it's a sport. We move on, we get the money. Hopefully, it gets invested in the right places.
Yes, speaking of money, what do you make of the Saudi League, bro? And the Premier League pundits, Carragher and Neville saying the Premier League should boycott the Saudi League.
What are they talking about? What are they talking about? Now, salary caps should be put into place for these financial powerhouses who get all their money from the oil industry. Salary caps should be implemented.
Financial fair play should be a consistent thing. Let's just say that.
However, what's this? We say football is for everyone because players from the favelas come, players from Africa come, and they win trophies and they're accepted in Europe and everywhere. It's a beautiful sport. But what? So they're not allowed to go and play in Saudi Arabia? All of a sudden, I thought football was for everyone. The passion for football and the love for football in the Middle East is massive. Look how well they did in the World Cup. They were the only team in the World Cup to beat Argentina, but got knocked out of the group stage.
Yeah.
Ronaldo joined, And now, top players are joining. Good for them, man. Good for them. And I hope the Saudis get to enjoy these guys because they haven't gotten the opportunity to enjoy shit when it comes to football. And what a year they've had, man. Good for them.
Yes, honestly, why not? This is no different to the MLS. This is no different to the Chinese Super League. This is no different to your Premier League. Your Premier League is the Super League. Your Premier League poaches the best players and the best talents from other leagues around the world, overpaying and inflating fucking prices to bring these guys in. And now you're saying to boycott a league that's going to compete with you financially. Definitely not. That's not fair. Football, again, should be for everyone, like you said. So come on, Al Nasir.
Come on, Al Hilal.
Come on, Al Ittihad.
And come on, Al Ahli. And you know what? Come on, Al Shabab as well. Come on, all you guys.
All the Al's, bro.
Al Shabab.
All of them.
You know what it is, bro? You know what it is? Racism, question mark.
Yes.
I genuinely think that it's straight up racism.
Probably.
Fuck you, racists. Come on, Saudi Arabia. Come on. The fuck.
Yeah. So let's keep going through the rundown because we're never going to get to these tops and flops.
It's true.
Dybala and Matic had an interesting back and forth on Instagram that was entertaining. They were roasting each other. Matic was telling Dybala that he can't speak Italian, and Dybala was telling Matic that he never gave him an assist. That was interesting to see. You don't often see people like go back and forth on social media for so long, especially celebrities of that caliber. So we know that Indica has joined Roma. Listener Francesco says they would have been better off signing Sativa.
He's so funny, bro. Cesco. He's fucking good, man. There's a guy, Cesco, whenever Milan scores, he sends a gif of two dudes making out and he goes, Jake and Matt right now.
No, not that Francesco.
Oh!
Picture of Naomi.
Oh, he's fucking funny as well, man. I fucking love him. You called him Cesco. He's Ciccio, dog.
Francesco is his Instagram name.
He's Ciccio. Love you, Ciccio. Thank you for listening, brother.
I don't know him like that. But yeah, Vicario to Spurs is a done deal for 19 million. We will miss you, the most underrated goalkeeper.
Those are my two favorite. If you listen to this podcast, you know Tonali and Vicario are my two favorite players in the league, no? And they're both fucking gone off to the Prem.
Get shafted. So Milan and Inter are battling it out for Thuram, Frattesi, and at one point even Lukaku. But Lukaku has pushed the idea of joining Milan away.
Oh no, I'm so offended.
And has put pressure on Inter to actually outright buy him. Juve are in for Weah, which is funny that Juve are in for Weah and Milan are in for Thuram.
How bad, eh? Thuram only had one season where he got over 10 goals. For Milan, how many does Weah? Weah has like 3 goals a season.
But he's been, to be fair to Weah, he's been kind of molded into a right back nowadays. Onana's agent has met Man United. Italy's under-21s were robbed. They were 2-1 down to France, and Bellanova's header crossed the line, but there was no goal line technology, there was no VAR, and there wasn't even a person watching the line as there should be.
Madonna, man.
It was absolutely shambolic.
Where's the consistency, man?
And the last thing we're going to say, it's impossible to get into everything, of course, is that patron Alan says Palermo's logo looks like an airline company.
It's true.
Alan, you're absolutely right.
It's true. Did you see Atalanta are playing Bournemouth?
That's another good one.
And it's 2 women getting their hair done, basically.
It's the shampoo derby.
The shampoo derby. Exactly.
All right.
But I love these episodes. So, guys, I know we told you we're getting sloppy, toppy, loppy, or whatever the hell we said in the intro. But what we're going to be doing is going all the way from Napoli down to Sampdoria in 2022-2023 Serie A. And we're going to be naming the team's tops, flops, their unsung heroes, their best wins, and their worst losses. Sorry. Me and Jake prepared these separately. So, we're going to be probably agreeing a lot, but maybe arguing a hell of a lot. Yeah. So, without further ado,
let's go.
Shall we get into it?
Napoli top, and I hate that we probably agree on this.
3,
we share the same
2, 1. Osimhen. You can't have a 26 goal season and you're not the top.
Yeah.
Gvara came in, okay. He was the league, well, supposedly the league's MVP, but Osimhen, in my opinion, was the league's MVP. He was one of the best players in the league, the most creative player in the league. He got like 12 goals and 13 assists. He was the top assister this season. It was his debut season. He's young, he's Georgian, he came out of nowhere. All that is impressive. But Osimhen had 26 goals. They just flung the ball up whenever the fuck they wanted, wherever the fuck it went to, and Osimhen got the ball and scored. That's what happened.
Exactly. You give Osimhen the ball anywhere, he's going to turn it into a shot at least.
Exactly.
And no matter the angle, no matter how tight it is, he was a one-man army up front, and finally he managed to get some consistency. Granted, he got injured when it really mattered the most for them, when they were pushing for that Champions League, and that's actually why they probably got eliminated from the Champions League, because he would have definitely stretched Milan open. And don't say because he was back for the second leg, because Osimhen was most definitely not fit enough to play that second leg.
Exactly. And he still scored. He played like 96 minutes and he still scored at the end. Give me a break. He's a monster.
Osimhen performed all season. After Kvaratskhelia was put into Davide Calabria's pocket, he didn't score a single goal after that. So let's keep it Osimhen. Osimhen is the top. Kvaratskhelia, great player, but Osimhen takes it at Serie A spotlight.
Exactly.
Flop.
So I have Hirving Lozano.
Fair enough. Didn't have much high expectations for him, to be honest.
I'll just say he's yet to establish himself as a clear starter. And it seemed like he was at a point favoured ahead of Politano. But I have to say, they shared the spoils this season. And I think when Politano came on, he looked even more dangerous.
Yes, I agree.
And Lozano, keep in mind the players that he was around, only got 3 goals and 3 assists in 32 matches. And his goals came against Bologna, Empoli and Cremonese. And Bologna was in the first half of the season when they were shite.
Very good, bro. That's a very fair shout. And apparently he's off to Saudi Arabia now. So
Come on, Saudi Arabia!
Hirving Lozano! Love that shit.
Love it, bro. Love it.
Now, for me, it's Raspadori.
Raspadori!
It's a harsh one. 2 goals, 2 assists in the league. Didn't really have much of a sniff, but when you look at the way Osimhen and Simeone exploded when they were on the pitch, and then you see Raspadori, how he struggled to kind of cement himself. The fact that he kind of fits awkwardly into the team. Like we've discussed, he fits better in a 2-striker kind of formation. No?
Is he a left wing? Is he a striker? Does he play behind the striker?
Seemed kind of awkward. Played well in Europe, but in the league failed to really establish himself. Now, any flop you pick on this Napoli team is going to be a harsh call.
Yeah.
I just picked him because I had to pick someone, because in reality I would have put NA.
Exactly. Fair enough.
Best wins, bro. Now, of course, in Europe.
No, unsung.
Unsung hero.
This is a new one. I think it was a really nice touch.
It's a nice
having
addition,
the unsung
I think.
hero.
Lobotka,
absolutely.
Stanislav.
Yes. Napoli's strength this season was their tempo, possession, and control of their matches, and he was pivotal in all of those things. He even broke down play phenomenally, and the way that he connected the defense to the attack was masterful. His forward passing, mamma mia, what a player.
Bro, incredible.
What a player.
A proper metronome, and he's come so far from the Gattuso days, where Gattuso basically called him a fat short guy with a big forehead, and now all of a sudden he's killing it, Lobotka.
Absolutely, man.
It's good to see the recovery. I think he's top 3 in his position easily in the league.
I think this season he was the best number 6. I think he was the best regista. Very similar industry to Benacer.
Yes,
absolutely.
I agree. Now, when it comes to the best win, of course, you have what Napoli did in Europe, but we're going to be focusing on Serie A. I'm just going to tell you now they beat Ajax.
We did mention. I have some out European, of Serie A.
Really, victories.
I have some, yeah, because they would have outshone everything else.
Okay.
You'll see.
For example, the Fiorentina ones. Like
you'll see.
6-1 against Ajax, 4-1 against Liverpool. These were all great results for Napoli. I think domestically, their 3-1 win versus Inter in the third match of the season was a massive confidence boost and a massive...
it set the tone, no?
Yeah, man. It's a massive fuck you to all the doubters.
Yeah.
Everyone that doubted Napoli and that criticized their mercato and the departures and everything that was done there.
Yes. I definitely understand the importance of that game. However, you can't look at their 5-1 win against Juve after the World Cup break and not say that that's their best result. They had their first match of the season after the World Cup against Inter and they lost, right? Whilst Juve had just won 8 matches in a row without conceding, including victories against Inter and Lazio. When they matched up, we're like, oh my god, Napoli's second loss of the season? ? No. 5-1. Against a team that had only conceded 7 goals that season.
To be fair, I forgot that game and they fucking dismantled them. They absolutely dismantled them. Fair enough, bro. Their worst loss is an easy one. I didn't even have to research it.
Yeah, 4-0.
4-0 Milan.
4-0.
Yeah, 4-0
and
Milan.
the reason why isn't just because they beat Milan 4-0, but because it had just been announced that they were going to play each other twice in the Champions League quarterfinals, and that victory really set the tone for Milan, and it really put Napoli on the back foot. They were on the back foot by halftime, with Spalletti losing his mind at Leao. That is the only Milan match I missed this year.
The 4-0.
The 4-0. That was the only Milan match I missed that year. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch it. I was in Australia. We were in this shitty hotel, to be honest, in Cairns.
I hate how you say that.
You have to, because it's not Cairns and it's not Cairns. It's not Cairns. It's Cairns. That's it.
You need a block nose to say it.
Literally. And there was no Wi-Fi. I didn't have my 4G on my phone because I was on my Australian SIM and I couldn't get it to work. And then I woke up first thing in the morning to check the result and I was like, what the fuck happened, man?
Yeah, bro.
Terrible.
What happens in Cairns stays in Cairns.
Absolutely, bro.
Yes, we forgot to mention the rundown. Kim Min-jae is probably going to Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
But we can move on to second place, and it is Lazio. Now, but top for Lazio is quite difficult because they had quite a few good performers.
Yes.
I thought the centre-backs were very good this season. I thought that Luis Alberto had a great season. Sergei was good too. I thought Sergei had a very good season, actually.
Sergei was fantastic.
And even when you look at the numbers, then it really you come to realize, like, he was still good this season, Sergei.
Absolutely.
Not as good as last season, but he was still very good.
Yeah, because Immobile, they formed that partnership. And he suddenly didn't have Immobile to put the ball into, but still equally as effective, man.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. Bear in mind, it's not just the contributions,
For sure. There's also Felipe Anderson, who had a very good season. But
Yes.
I'm just going to stick to Sergei Milinkovic-Savic for my top. Super dependable, super trustworthy, played 45 to 36 games, scored 9 goals and got 8 assists, and that for me is enough for him to be my top. When you watch Lazio, you can't help but notice the tall, mustached man from Serbia.
Yes, I agree with how good Sergei was this year.
And Zakani, I forgot to mention as well.
However,
Yeah.
what was the difference between the Lazio last year that finished around 6th and the Lazio that finished 2nd this year? It's the fact that Zaccagni was brought in and his form was magnificent. Out wide, he added that flair that Lazio always struggled with in previous seasons. 10 goals and 7 assists weren't too shabby either, but it's more about how active he was, how he was moving the ball forward, how direct he was. And his 10 goals, bro, he had goals against Napoli, Milan, Atalanta, Lazio, Roma and Juve.
Super season.
Give me a break,
Yes.
To me it's Zaccagni.
Incredible season by Zaccagni, who played as well the vast majority of the games. Honestly, it could be either or. It could be Sergei, it could be Zaccagni. Depends on what you prioritize. Fair enough. Flop. Now, for me, bro,
I just got a glimpse of what you wrote.
Bro, 12 goals and 5 assists should never be a flop, right? Should never be a flop. But when you look at the fact that this guy last season had 36 goals and the season before had 27 goals, and it keeps going, like 20 was the benchmark, right? For Immobile, for this recent career in Serie A. This season, not only did he not get the numbers, but he was wasteful, he was invisible at times. I was very disappointed with Immobile this season, and I'm sure many allanatori, thank you, my God, that's a martini, were disappointed as well, bro, because, you want to see Immobile banging them in.
Yeah, he did flop.
Yes.
Absolutely. My flop is Luis Maximiano, 100%.
Oh my God.
It was comical.
Oh my
Comical.
God. I can't believe that was last season.
6 minutes into his debut, he picked the ball up outside his box, got a red card, and he didn't start another game in Serie A that season.
And Provedel.
6 minutes, 1 red card. Provedel came in from fucking Spezia, and he was insane for them.
And he got the most clean sheets in the league. And I think the fewest goals conceded as well.
Probably if Maximiano had not done that, he might have had the most clean sheets as well, because Lazio were that impenetrable in the defense.
Oh my God,
You're
right.
Chazale, Romagnoli.
I completely forgot about that guy.
It's too comical. It's way too comical.
God knows what happens to him. I'm sure he's already gone. Like, I doubt he's in Rome.
Yeah.
Unsung hero.
Hey!
For me, it was between Chasale and Romagnoli.
Okay. Did you decide on one?
Yes. I put Chasale because he gets less recognition. Of course, Romagnoli is very celebrated and very loved. He has a good reputation. Chasale, for me, had a fantastic season, partnering up with Romagnoli to form a very formidable defense. He came from Hellas Verona and he held his own near his solid captain.
Yes, very, very good. And as an unsung hero, I fancied it quite a lot, choosing Chasale or Romagnoli, especially Chasale. I agree with every single point you made. However, I went with Felipe Anderson because losing a capocannoniere and leader like Immobile would be devastating for any team. But Anderson showcased great versatility and consistency for once. He played right wing, he played attack, he played as a false nine. And you know what? Sometimes Lazio looked even better with him on the pitch.
Bro, honestly, very good shout. Felipe Anderson had a great season. And as you mentioned, a consistent season. And that's something that we're not used to seeing with Felipe Anderson.
Exactly.
Consistency.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Best win 3-2-1, 4-0 against Milan. Obviously.
Yeah.
Now, it might have been a terrible spell for Milan. When Lazio beat them 4-0 because it was during that period. Period that all Milan fans know and all Serie A followers know. However, there has been a battle between Lazio and Milan over the past few years. We heard in that intro that Tonali goal against Lazio that gave them bragging rights and that won them the league. And you had all those battles between Lazio and Milan over the years where they were both kind of flopping but both still fighting for Europe. Was it going to be Europa League, Champions League? And I really think that 4-0 victory gave Lazio a lot of confidence, man.
Definitely. It was that win, and I think another good win was that victory over Roma.
Yes,
when they moved up to second, that was a good one for them as well.
They're best to be fair. They had two massive victories over Roma. Two massive victories over Roma this season.
The worst loss, of course, we have the European ones. 2-1 loss to AZ Alkmaar twice. They had the 5-1 loss to Midtjylland. I think domestically, you either look at the 3-0 loss to Juve because they could have totally given Juve more of a run for their money. And the 3-1 loss to Salernitana at home was also pretty bad.
I agree with the 3-1 loss against Salernitana. I also placed a note here saying getting knocked out of the Conference League after a double loss to AZ Alkmaar was devastating for the image of the club. But then it did help them gain Serie A success, so you can't really choose that. No, it was a bit of a strategic one, maybe.
Sacrificing the Europa League for a Champions League finish domestically is fair enough.
Mourinho, take notes. He did it the other way around.
He would have, poor guy. He didn't know he was going to be that point. Inter.
Yes.
Top 3, 2, 1. Lautaro Martinez.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yes, you went Lautaro.
Of course I went Lautaro, bro. He scored 21 goals and got 6 assists.
Fair enough.
He was a monster. Like, and when you look at Lukaku was misfiring for the vast majority of the season, apart from the end, they really needed Lautaro to step up. Di Marco is actually my unsung hero, I might as well say it.
Okay, yeah,
he's my unsung hero because I thought that he kept Gosens out of the lineup. He was brilliant at transitioning on the counter. He's improved massively in the final third, and he's become a pretty fucking solid player, Di Marco.
When you consider that last season Inter lost Perisic and they showed faith in Gosens, and then Gosens started struggling, obviously still carrying injuries, so on and so forth. Inter fans will all breathe a massive sigh of relief to see someone like Di Marco stepping up. They would have never expected it. They hated him in the beginning, but what a player he proved to be. His industry attacking prowess and performances on the big stages, in my opinion, makes him Inter's top. He did it in the Serie A, he did it in the Coppa, and he did it in the Champions League.
And if you go back to Serie A Spotlight's earlier episodes, you will find us praising Di Marco back when he was with Hellas Verona, and then even saying that he would bench Perisic at Inter. Little did we know that Perisic would have the season of his fucking life. But now he's only gone and benched Gosens, so there was some element of truth about his potential, because Di Marco, for me, is a fantastic talent.
Now, you said your unsung hero, so I'm going to step in and say mine before we get to
Can
the
I guess?
Yes.
One guess, I'll have one guess. Is it Archerby?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah, it was my second one.
Obviously, many thought he was finished, as he was essentially forced out of Lazio last year at the age of 35. Milan fans didn't want him as well. He was being linked to Milan. We actually spoke about that in the episode with Santi and Mintoff. But his experience improved the defense significantly. When he came in, he was to me the key reason as to why Inter turned things around after their torrid start, man. After all those losses in a row, he came in and he really gelled.
Yeah.
He really gelled that defense.
Yes, bro. He was meant to be a backup, but he ended up being a leader, and that's always a good story. When you look at Skriniar, who was meant to be their best defender, proved to be a liability because of his personality and the fact that he wanted PSG. You look at the person who was criticized for being signed, he stepped up and he was the top for Inter at the back over there. So honestly, mad respect to Acerbi after all he's been through, beating cancer.
Yeah.
Coming back, redemption season at Sassuolo,
and
then being scouted by Lazio, picked up by Lazio, and then picked up by Inter, and then pocketing Haaland in a Champions League final. That's quite the story.
Massive. He beat cancer twice, by the way, and he also earlier on in his career, something not many people know, when he was at Milan, he actually struggled with alcoholism.
Oh yeah,
as well. Yeah. So wow, just an exemplary human being, Acerbi.
Yeah,
shout out Acerbi.
You're the man, Acerbi.
Now, you mentioned him, so I'm just going to say who my flop is immediately. Skriniar, to me, was the flop of the season for Inter. He looked out of sorts in the beginning of the season, and then confirmed that he'll be leaving the club on a free at the end of the season. Leaving the club on a free at the end of the season. And he was often left out of the starting 11, now keeping in mind that he was the club's captain. Acerbi was straight up better when he came in.
Fair enough, bro. I don't know. I went Gosens. Of course, Skriniar is a disappointment and a flop.
Yeah.
Obviously, but Gosens, I would have never guessed that Gosens, wouldn't be able to get more minutes and rack up some numbers, with Inter.
Fair enough.
So I went for him because just simply he was so good at Atalanta, and then he was a shadow of his former self. And it's weird because when you see him with the national team, even with Germany recently, he plays really well. So there's just something that's not clicking with him and Inter. Maybe he's not understanding some things that Inzaghi wants him to do.
Maybe. I think he should get out, to be honest. Especially with DeMarco there. He's not going to get much luck.
Fair enough.
Inter's best win?
Now I went for the 3-0 victory against Empoli.
Their best win, the 3-0 win against Empoli?
Because it set off in the league, of course. Of course, when you look at other competitions, there's the Super Coppa final where they beat Milan 3-0. There's the semi-final of the Champions League where they knocked Milan out, of course. But this 3-0 win against Empoli in the league was very underrated because it set off a chain of victories for Inter. They beat Empoli 3-0 and then won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games in a row. They lost to Napoli, fair enough, and then won another 3. So that Empoli victory came at a very tough time for Inter. They needed a win. They had just fucking drawn to Benfica. They had lost to Monza. It was going shit for them. And not only fucking lost to Monza, they had a few terrible results at that point. And this win gave them the confidence to push forward. That's why I put it as their best.
Keep in mind, that's what kept them in the top 4.
Yeah.
That run of 8, because it was tight towards the end of the season, and that victory, I agree with you, would have set that all off. I couldn't help but put the 3-0 win in the Super Coppa Italiana final, because they just absolutely demolished and destroyed Milan, their local rivals. Sure, they beat them twice in the Champions League, but to me, that Super Coppa Italiana final winning 3-0 was devastating for Milan, and what a party it must have been for Inter.
Yeah, most definitely, bro. I can't even imagine what that must have been like. As Milan fans, we are used to seeing devastating scorelines in finals, in recent years. There was, I'll never forget that time on the cruise, bro. When Milan were in the Super Coppa Italiana again final against Juventus, and Mehdi Benatia scored 2 goals of 2 very dubious Donnarumma moments.
Donnarumma.
4 fucking nil, man.
So I have 2 of the worst goalkeeper performances I have in recent memory, barring Luis Maximiano. But it's one of the best goalkeepers in history, in my opinion, Iker Casillas against Holland in the 2014 World Cup, if I'm not mistaken, or was it the 2010 World Cup?
Damn, you know, Bob.
I think one of those, I can't really remember. When Van Persie had that flying header, little does anyone know that Casillas always struggled with collecting loose balls and getting out to command his area, and he was well out of position over there, and then just Robin scored that goal, and he had a bunch of other mistakes. But the other one was that Milan-Juve final. Donnarumma was abysmal. He was responsible to me for 3 of the goals.
You've just reminded me by mentioning Casillas. My brain went on a tangent. So the King's Cup had a crazy moment where Casillas was in goal and he wasn't even moving.
Yes.
And Aguero ran up to him. They do like MLS style penalty.
Yes.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, exactly.
Where you run from the halfway line. For those who don't know, you carry the ball from the halfway line. I believe you can take 3 touches and then you must shoot.
Exactly.
This guy, Casillas, was like hands on knees, just looking down and then all of a sudden, he just springs to life and saves Audero, I was going to say.
Aguero.
He saves Aguero's shot, yes.
Yeah, he stayed on his line. It was beautiful,
That took me to another point. There's going to be a Senior World Cup.
Yes, I saw that.
That's going to be super interesting. Apparently it's happening, yes. It's been confirmed, and you'll be seeing the likes of Pirlo. You'll be seeing, I think, even certain players like Cambiasso.
That's crazy, man. That'll be so much fun.
There are certain retired football players who probably stayed fit as well.
Absolutely. If Zidane plays, I watch some classic matches sometimes. Like there was once, like El Clásicos from back in the day, and they field the same 11s that they would have fielded in certain seasons. I see the way Zidane plays; he's still magnificent. So it would be, very exciting to see some of our old heroes still playing, man.
Yeah, definitely. It would be fun to watch them. Yeah. Nostalgic.
Worst loss
for
Inter.
2-1 to Spezia. It started a winless run of 6 games for Inter as well. Demoralized the shit out of them. Losing to Spezia is always a disaster, as Milan fans we know. I think Milan played Spezia 6 times. Sorry, they have 3 wins and 3 losses.
My God, man. My God.
So we'll move on to Milan, the top.
Yes. Bro. So top for Milan.
For me,
Rafael Leao.
Yes, obviously.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. He's a one-man army up front. When he's on, there's no stopping him. He's absolutely unplayable. Last season's MVP. He's a very good player. Very, very good player.
To me, he went through a bad spell. There were the contract negotiations. There was all that. Milan were going through a bad spell. He was adapting to a switch-on formation of 3-4-3. He was playing very, very centrally and very close to Giroud, which isn't his strong suit, especially after Pioli got him used to playing out wide in a 4-3-3. To me, he's Milan's X factor, clearly. Milan could afford to be patient in possession. We used to see Milan, when they didn't have the likes of a difference maker like Leao, rushing to get into the box because they don't get many chances. Yeah. Milan can now afford to play patiently because they trust that when Leao is in a little bit of space, they could exploit the defense. Milan spent an entire game waiting for those moments. So Leao, to me, has to be the top.
For sure, yes, agreed. The flop for me is not Charles De Ketelaere. I was considering De Ketelaere because, of course, 0 goals for a trequartista was brought in for 30+ million euros is not a good look. No. But Origi was meant to be that player to rotate with Giroud.
Yep.
Origi was meant to be a player that would start most games, to be honest with you, and he did not show that. He was, of course, injury prone, very unlucky, but when he did play, he looked selfish. He looked heavy, bro. He looked heavy.
Yeah.
Slow.
My flop is Origi as well. He was signed for his Champions League experience, eye for goal, and for his youth, quite frankly, because Zlatan and Giroud being the other options, they needed someone in his prime, which Origi physically is in his prime. But he often looked clueless. He looked greedy, and Giroud ended up playing 2 to 3 games a week because he was so useless.
Yes. Which takes us to our unsung hero.
Yes.
And I have 2.
Okay, that's cheating.
It was yes, but I had to make a decision. It was between Giroud and it was between Krunic as well. Now I ended up going for Krunic because when Krunic was out, Milan suffered the worst losses, and Krunic brought a lot of balance to the midfield. The lack of a trequartista, so Benacer pushing into that trequartista role, and Krunic playing alongside Sandro Tonali in the middle and actually being super useful over there. Respect to Giroud, 13 goals and 5 assists in 25 starts this season. He was run to the ground by Pioli, of course, because he had to be deployed.
Yeah.
He was the only option for most of the time. And despite his old age, he still managed to deliver.
Yeah. Now, to me, there are a lot that can be mentioned. There's Benacer for his control, Chow for the improvements he made to Milan's defense when he came in, and Giroud for his surprising durability, hold-up play, and his big game goals, because those are the most important. That Leao was still the top scorer this season. However, Krunic takes it for me. Benacer and Tonali seemed to struggle to play together for a long time in the season, especially when Milan were going through that bad spell. But when Rade came in and Brahim moved to the wing, the balance in the midfield was complete.
Yes.
No matter what he did for the benefit of the team, which is something I love about him, something that like Igor could learn a thing or two
yes.
from a player like Krunic. I get why you said Giroud, but to me, Krunic is just more unsung.
I went for Krunic at the end. He was my
Okay,
he was my
okay.
unsung hero.
Yeah, to me, he's more unsung than Giroud.
Agreed.
To me, Giroud was Milan's second most important player this season.
Giroud has a song. Krunic doesn't.
Exactly.
So, yeah, he's definitely.
Krunic should fucking have a
Yes.
song though. This is our point. Like,
Biggest win is very easy. 4-0 against
4-0
Napoli.
against Napoli, the only game I missed this season.
Yes, biggest loss. You have the 3-0 Coppa loss to Inter. Sucks to lose a final against a rival. Milan went on to get trashed. They also got trashed by Sassuolo and Lazio if you want to look at the domestic games.
I'm not sure because there's the 3-0 loss to Inter. There's the 5-2 home loss to Sassuolo. There's the 4-0 loss to Lazio in Rome. There's the 3-1 loss to Udinese. There's the 2-0 loss to Spezia. And there's the 5-0 aggregate loss to Chelsea. We've had it tough. Milan have really had it tough. I think the set-off was that 3-0, but you can't look at like a 5-2 home loss to Sassuolo and not say that's the most devastating loss this season.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think Sassuolo would be the worst one.
Yeah, I think so. For conceding 5 to Sassuolo.
Yes. Moving on to Atalanta.
Yes. Top.
Coupe Miners.
Oh, good shout. Good shout.
Thank you. Yours?
Lookman.
Lookman, okay.
He struggled
I
with...
considered him, but he kind of disappeared towards the end of the season.
Well, he struggled with injuries in Q4. He was out injured, essentially. But he was insane for whenever he was fit. 13 goals and 8 assists, leaving Duvan and Muriel rotting on the bench. They were terrible. So having someone like Lookman, to me it was needed, and he was the guy that got them back into the Europa League, essentially. And he was what anyone would fear about Atalanta.
Fair enough, yes. For me, Coupe Miners, 10 goals, 4 assists. He's consistent, he's dependable, he's versatile, he's a great player. Coupe Miners takes the cake for me. Flop for me was Duvan Zapata. It was between...
Fair.
No, sorry. I would say Muriel, actually.
Okay.
Now, they're both very similar. How the fuck are these guys so finished at 32 years old? I don't know. At least Zapata occupies defenders in the box. Muriel couldn't even do what he does best, which is like hold the ball, play a simple pass that would open the defense. He's known for his high IQ play, Muriel. And this season, he just simply did not have it.
Now, the only reason I didn't go for those two strikers that you mentioned, because obviously anyone would consider them, is because they had it good with Højlund and with Lookman up front. So technically they were unaffected by how bad these guys were because they found their replacements, no? Even though they were so good in previous seasons, Duvan and Muriel, some of the best strikers in the league. I was very disappointed by Musso this year, and he's my flop. A shadow of his former self, in my opinion. If it weren't for their defensive approach, they would have conceded way more goals. And he was even dropped for Sportiello on the last 8 games of the season.
Yeah.
I don't think he made any remarkable saves. I don't think he was confident. I think that's what it boils down to, his confidence. He really didn't seem up to the task for me, and for a top 7 team, they deserve a better shot stopper. You watch Musso at Udinese. Musso in his first season at Atalanta is a spectacular shot stopper,
Yes,
a really, really good goalkeeper. And because of that, I would put him as my flop, because he's typically so good. And this season, it's not that he was shit, but that he flopped.
Yes. It's true. He definitely did flop. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Unsung.
Darun.
Good one. Scalvini.
Okay. I put Darun simply because he's the powerhouse of the team. He doesn't get enough recognition. He's always there. He's always in the squad, and he always delivers. He always plays well. He always gives it his all. He does a lot of dirty work for the team. For me, Darun is the unsung hero.
I think you don't mean Darun. I think you mean Daron.
Daron.
But sure. To me, Scalvini is the perfect example of a modern centre-back. And he was massive when it comes to the way Atalanta played football this year. With their intricate style of play, it typically started from Scalvini. When it comes to a centre-back playing the ball out from the back, which, if you watch Serie A, you know that that's how 90% of attacks are started. It starts from the goalkeeper to the defense to the midfield to the attack. That's how most goals happen in Serie A. It's very intricate, very tactical. Scalvini is the best in the league at doing that from defense. Playing the ball out from defense, Scalvini is definitely the best one. And he's really, really dominant in the air. And keep in mind, this guy's just 19 years old. You know John Stones, how he's being deployed in midfield for Manchester City?
Could be Scalvini.
Could be Scalvini.
Yeah.
Could definitely be Scalvini.
Scalvini is definitely the most pep player in the league.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yes, bro. It's also worth mentioning, by the way, as a flop, Gasperini could be seen as a flop as well. This season,
I
there were
thought about
certain
that.
players, man, like Soppy and Okoli. I would really like to see more of them.
Hey, man.
Soppy looked good when he played. I don't know why
Soppy
they
looked
gave him
decent. Is he that guy that's going to be consistent? Is his industry incredible? Is he a Gasperini? Wing back? Probably not. But I think he
fits the
had
mold.
glimpses of goodness, I guess.
I think he fits the mold. I think Gasperini opted for his preferred options, no? His Hans Hattebergs, his Zapacostas, yes.
Yeah.
Best win.
8-2.
For me, 8-2 against Salernitana.
You can't score 8 in a game, and that's not your best win.
It was a fucking party.
For sure.
And if you have to look at an opponent that they beat that was better than them, it's a 2-0 victory over Lazio.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
Worst loss is probably the 1-0 to Sassuolo because Mele and Muriel both got a red card, Laurienté scored, and Atalanta just failed to show up for that one.
Oh, that was your birthday, dog.
That was my
That was
birthday.
your birthday.
Yeah.
We're singing karaoke and
4th
watching
February,
the football.
baby.
Yeah, baby. Ooh, ooh. For me, their worst loss, they got 0 points in 2 matches against Lecce. They lost 2-1 at home and they lost 2-1 away. To me, though, that's devastating, getting 0 points against a newly promoted team.
Fair enough, bro. Good. Let us know who's doing better, guys.
Hey.
Comment on Spotify.
We're disagreeing a
We're
lot.
disagreeing
I
a
like
lot.
it.
Yes,
Fuck
it's
you,
good.
man.
It's
You're
fucking-
dumb.
You're an idiot.
You're dumb,
You're
man.
fucking stupid, bro.
Jesus. I listen to some podcasts where when they disagree with each other, bro,
start
they
fighting,
go
bro.
all out on each other, like all out.
Yeah.
We should do that, man.
We definitely should, bro.
Roma.
Top, Dybala.
Easy. He changed the team, and there's a massive reason as to why Roma are scoring from open play this season because of Dybala. 12 goals and 7 assists in Serie A in 25 games, 5 goals and 1 assist in the Europa League, including a goal in the final while he was carrying an injury. He also had a goal in the Coppa Italia.
Yes, bro, that's fair enough. Flop 3, 2, 1, Belotti. All right.
Easy. Tammy didn't have a great season, but Belotti didn't score a single goal in
not
Serie
a
A.
single goal in Serie A for a player who was a prolific goal scorer for so many seasons.
Yeah, I think just to name this guy because he really didn't have a good season, Ibanez.
Ibanez,
Because when you put him on the biggest stages, he doesn't perform well.
not only does he not perform well, but he'll cost you the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Unsung hero, Chris Smalling.
Good.
Okay.
I obviously thought about
Chris
him.
Smalling. Dude, I stumbled upon the clip and I posted it recently on Instagram. Follow. This fucking guy was going back in the United days where they had
Yes,
Maguire and
I know
Smalling,
it.
and Maguire was really rated. He was going, we've just let Smalling go, 3 million or something. Let me tell you something. Smalling is twice the player that Maguire is.
And you see that zooms in on that guy in the
Everyone,
background
yeah.
pulling a face at him. Firstly, fuck that guy in the background.
Fuck
Just
him.
if the guy in the background's listening, fuck you, bro. But to me, El Sharawi was the unsung hero
Okay.
for Roma.
Got his numbers up, huh?
Because he's a fantastic utility player. He was versatile, playing both as a left wing back and a left winger. especially with Spinazzola struggling with injuries, he really had to shift his weight. And even with Dybala struggling with injuries, doesn't matter. If you're on the left side and you're injured, El Shaarawy stepped in. And he got 7 goals and 3 assists in the league, 2 goals and 1 assist in the Coppa too. El Shaarawy.
Fair enough, huh? Speaking of Al-Ahli. Now, best win for me was the 2-1 away to Inter.
Yes, I agree. Never easy winning at the San Siro, and they've struggled against the top 7 before, and this season they got it done against Inter.
That was a show for Mourinho.
Yes,
to beat his old team.
Yes.
Worst loss for me, of course, there's who was it? Maccabi Haifa.
Maccabi Haifa. There's all those,
of course. But for me, it was the 4-3 loss at home to Sassuolo. You score 3 and you lose.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Yeah, it is.
And to concede 4 goals,
especially
Sassuolo at home at the Olimpico, that's ugly. Bro.
Especially for a Mourinho team, because they're so
compact.
Pardon me, Jesus, they're so compact and they're so defensive, so to say. They're Mourinho parking the bus and all that. To me, it's the 2 losses against Lazio, courtesy of Ibanez. Just the manner in which they lost those 2 games against Lazio, devastating. That has to be it for me.
They also lost 2-1 away to Cremonese, by the way.
Yes,
that was a bad one as well.
Yes, that was massive.
Juventus.
Yes, top.
Rabiot, bro. Fuck
I agree.
I went Kostic in the mid-season, tops and flops, but this time I'm going to go for Rabiot, simply because he played 32 games, he got 8 goals, he got 4 assists, he had a great season. He was instrumental in that midfield, and they really needed him because Paredes flopped.
Yes.
Pogba was unavailable
the
entire time, and this guy was playing along the likes of youngsters I'd never even heard of before. Miretti, you've got Fagioli, Berenchea, excuse my pronunciation.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's pretty bang on. I put Rabiot as well, not only because of his output. His output has significantly improved from previous seasons. However, his physicality, his technicality, and the fact that he was a goal-scoring midfielder, to me, is super important for Juve, especially when, firstly, he was starting on the wing a lot of the time as well. Worthy mentioning that to showcase his versatility, obviously. And secondly, Allegri was shifting things around, shifting the formation, shifting player positions. And the common factor was Rabiot in midfield. Yeah. And if you don't consider the minus 10 points, they would have finished second, third in the season. I think third, just ahead of Inter, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, it's not accurate because you have to bar those last games of the season
and the Monza loss and all those.
Exactly, the Empoli one as well. I think he was instrumental for Juve in the middle, breaking down play, starting attacks. Always an option if someone has the ball. Rabiot's always available. What a season he had, man! What a season.
Flop.
Harsh.
You're saying Pogba.
I'm saying Pogba. But he only played 161 minutes.
Okay, but
he only played 100. I understand. Only because if you look at the manner of how he got injured, you're going to say because it's for the World Cup and it's everyone's dream. I know it's not fucking easy. I don't know, but I can understand why it's not fucking easy. But you can't just... He might have screwed up his entire career this season. Yes. This season, Pogba might have fucked himself for the long term.
By trying to shortcut his injury recovery, you know?
And he ended up doing an even more serious surgery than what was initially required, because he made it even worse, because he tried to rush back. It's harsh, but you can't not say that Pogba flopped this season. The expectations were through the roof. He was the solution for Juve. He was going to come back and he was going to hit those curlers from outside the area. For sure. But unfortunately, he played 161 minutes. When he came on, he looked decent, sure, but Pogba.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to stick with Paredes. He's left and he's already scored a worldie for Argentina, the classic. He just had 8 starts all season. That's a flop, bro. You brought him in and then you look at the fact that they ended up playing youngsters in midfield and Paredes was there the entire time available. That's a flop to me.
Yeah, okay. I agree.
Unsung hero. For me, a player I'm enamored by, a player I like, Danilo.
Give him the armband. What a fantastic player. He's solid, he's versatile. He also managed 3 goals and 3 assists. He's honestly, captain material, super leader, locker room figure. He's a very good player. There's no debate. I thought of saying Kostic initially, but not really that unsung So yeah, I have to go for Danilo.
Best win.
They got 2 victories over Inter in the league, winning 1-0 away from home and 2-0 at home. Those take it for me. Getting a double against Inter in the league is fucking difficult.
Agreed. There was also the 3-0 against Lazio, who finished second, which was super.
Yes.
Worst loss, I would say 5-1 away to Napoli. There was the 4-1 against Empoli, the 3-0 against
that
Monza.
Doesn't count.
They don't count because they came after the terrible political situation, the news, the points deductions. They came at bad time. So for me, the 5-1 against Napoli was the worst one.
It's there, I listed it, but this was one of the situations where I had to go out of the league to visit it. 2-0 loss to Maccabi Haifa.
Yeah.
When you look at Juve's progression over the past few years, naturally they had those 9 Scudetti in a row. And after that, they were like, okay, Champions League. We need to establish ourselves as European powerhouses. They got to 2 Champions League finals. They signed Cristiano Ronaldo, and they did everything in their power to get them to be European powerhouses, which was obviously the natural next step for Juve. There was nothing wrong with doing what they did. All of that led to losing 2-0 to Maccabi Haifa.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Difficult season for Juve this year.
Yes.
Fiorentina,
top.
Biraghi.
I thought of Biraghi so hard, bro. I thought of him so good. Out of people just say he's good from set pieces. No, he's not. He's not. He's a leader and he's fucking tough, bro.
And he plays most of the time, 33 games all season. Was solid, man. Hard-working, devastating at set pieces. I had Nico Gonzalez as the other option. He's yours. He was mentally unavailable for half the season.
Redemption song.
Not enough for me for top of the season.
42 appearances, 28 starts, 2,663 minutes played.
This is in all competitions.
Yes.
42 appearances in all competitions. Remember, he was nowhere to be seen at the start.
14 goals, but you have to mention all competitions when you look at Fiorentina's season. Coppa Italia, Serie A. So Serie A, they finished 8th. Okay. Coppa Italia, they got to the final. Okay. And Conference League, they got to the final.
And because this Nico Gonzalez couldn't get his shit together for the start of the season, they won't be featuring in Europe next year.
But Fiorentina were shit at the start of the season.
Well, sure, but their best player was mentally unavailable, bro.
He came back, and he scored in the most important part of the season. He got them to all those finals that they were in. Not single-handedly, of course. Italiano, all that. 14 goals. 5 assists. When you look at all competitions, he was the star player. 6 goals in Serie A and 5 in the Europa League and 2 in the Coppa. You look at all of their success, he was there.
This for me would be the equivalent of picking Deulofeu as your top for Udinese.
Disagree. Deulofeu had 2 goals all season.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Did he have 2 goals all season?
Yes, Deulofeu had 2 goals. He had loads of assists.
Yeah, but he was incredible at the start. He did half the season and then he disappeared. So for me, that can't be the top. It just came good for Nico because
I understand.
He peaked at the second half of the season, so it's fresher in the memory.
It's fresher in the memory, but the stakes are also higher, bro. There's the later stages of the Conference League, the later stages of the Coppa Italia. It's when the leagues get more competitive, the competitions get more competitive. The way he stepped up after that, he was easily their most influential player after that. Easily. I understand, however, your shout of Biraghi because he was there for the entire time. He was solid and he was a leader. I understand. Yeah. I love the redemption of Nico Gonzalez, though.
Flop.
Jovic. Whilst netting 6 in the league and 6 in the Europa League, which is massive, he was replacing Dusan Vlahovic. And he struggled to keep his spot ahead of Cabral.
That's fair enough. Yes. To be honest, I don't disagree with you at all. Jovic is a fair shout.
6 goals, 6 assists.
Yes,
good,
that's it. You know, it's harsh. Yes. Igor, man. I think Igor is a good player. I think Igor is not only a good player. Okay, I'm just going to say I think Igor is a beast, bro.
Yeah.
I think Igor, when he's mentally focused, when he's switched on, is impossible to play against. 1v1 against him, and it's a nightmare. You're up against a gorilla, essentially. Yep. He's a fucking animal, like. This season, man, he couldn't get into his rhythm. He really struggled.
Igor.
He couldn't keep up the season, in my opinion.
And obviously, what highlighted that, was that decision not to bring down Bowen. in the Conference League
Oh,
final.
oh my
There was
God,
that, which was
yes.
just the cherry on the
Yes,
cake, no?
yes, that's
I absolutely get
That's
you.
frustrating.
I get you.
Could have won a trophy.
Yeah.
Yes, there was also Breck all over the fields, a bit harsh because he's new. Unsung hero. I went for Christian Kwame.
I went for Giacomo Bonaventura. No bias.
Would you say he's unsung?
Yes, I would say so. I would say, yes.
I think Kwame would be more unsung. You know, Kwame it's the same situation with Philip Anderson for Lazio.
Fair.
Came in to replace Cabral and Jovic, who were shitting the bed. Kwame was
Ekone was shitting the bed
on
in
the wing
beginning,
as well, and Kwame
came
played
in.
there. And he always played well, man. And he managed 4 goals and 4 assists all season. He was pretty good. I mean, no one expected anything out of Kwame. People had even forgotten he existed because of his injuries. He joined from Genoa and then kind of dipped for a while, vanished off the face of the earth, and then came back and looked decent, to be honest.
Yeah,
and
Kwame is a good
versatile.
shout. Kwame is a very good shout. To me, it's Bonaventura because typically people judge Bonaventura's season based on his numbers. Now, if you look at his numbers this season, he has 7 goals and 4 assists, which is good. Which is good. But his leadership qualities are immense. He keeps fucking working for 90 minutes of every single game, and he had 39 appearances and 37 starts. He was consistent. He was constant. To me, he's the unsung hero. I don't think he gets raved about enough, man, Bonaventura. Especially
Fair
in his
enough.
later
Definitely
years.
a cult hero, Bonaventura. There was also Saponara, 4 goals, 3 assists, had a good season. A season where he featured more often than not, and that's not something we can often say.
Yeah.
He's been let go. He's a free agent right now. Let's hope he stays in the league.
Yeah,
Let's hope he stays in the league. Now,
hopefully.
best victory.
But he's kind of in his later years, Saponara, so maybe.
But he's
he'll
not
want to-
that
He's
old.
like 32, no? 33.
Something like that. Like, that's not old at all. You know, another player, bro, by the way, who comes across as way older than he actually is Manolo Gabbiadini. How old do you think Manolo Gabbiadini
I know
is?
this, 32.
Yes. Saponara's 31.
How old is? My God, I just thought of one that seems older than he is. I can't.
Gabbiadini's 31 as well.
My
so not even
God.
32 yet.
My God.
Who was
I can't remember. I'll randomly remember when we're in
Okay.
like 12th place or something. Don't worry.
Cool. Best win, of course, 1-0 away to Inter was a great win. 2-1
Fair.
at home to Milan was also good. But 1-0 away to Inter is
Massive.
better,
It's
I think,
massive.
yes.
I went for Fiorentina 2, Roma 1 because they were both heading into the European finals, and the Conference League finalists beat the Europa League finalists.
Fair enough.
And
That's
I
a nice
think
story.
it's a massive statement that they made over there, Fiorentina.
Nice. Worst loss.
So Basakeshir 3, Fiorentina 0 didn't really matter because they got to the
Yeah,
Conference League final nonetheless. But Fiorentina 0, Lazio 4 had topped off a torrid start for La Viola, and it seemed like it couldn't get worse for them at that point. So I'd say that.
Fair enough, yes. I also put the 4-3 away loss to Inter simply because that game was not as close as the scoreline suggests, and there were massive lapses in concentration early on, and they really could have got something out of that game, but the individual errors cost it, and they got fucked up.
In fact, many people won't remember Inter were 2-0 ahead in that game.
Early on, and a few seconds in. Like,
Barella scored, I
Yeah.
think. Fiorentina were second best in that game. To me, it's like they got murked. Inter made it
Yeah,
way
yeah.
harder for themselves, but they got murked. in that
consolation
game.
goals, but they got fucked up.
Yeah.
It's true. Bologna.
Wow, we're flying, dog.
How long? What minute are we in?
We are in. Ooh, we're an hour in. Look
You
at
have
this.
been listening to Serie A Spotlight for 1 hour and 2 minutes.
Imagine now we just plug in our sponsors. Like, imagine one day when we have sponsors, man. We won't bore you. too much.
Manscaped, shave your balls. Why is everyone sponsored by Manscaped?
Manscaped clearly got taken over by someone with a ridiculous budget, and he's like, get the name out there. When I want people to think of them shaving their balls, which is something everyone shaves their pussy and their balls, dog. everyone in the world, unless you're a jungle person.
Bro.
And they what?
It's totally cultural.
What if you shave?
Yes.
You shave at least once.
Bro, it is totally cultural.
What happens if you never shave your
Bro,
balls?
you're Japanese or Korean.
They shave sometimes, for sure.
bro.
What, they're gonna tie it in a ponytail, bro?
I have
What's this?
A friend of mine went to Korea and went to these saunas. The men split up, the women split up. My friend was a little bit nervous. He was alone. He was with his girlfriend. His girlfriend went to the women part. He went to the man party, opened the door, found himself in this massive hall full of Korean men. Everyone, there were about 50 people in there, bro. Everyone had a bush, except him. Bro, he stood out like a sore thumb, bro.
Okay, then the West. Everyone in the West shaves their balls. Everyone in the West shaves their pussies. Manscaped. Even if they just targeted America.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of Americans listen to podcasts. Podcast culture came from America, I believe, with Joe Rogan, and he like started it all, technically. And they got their name out there. When you think of shaving your balls, you think of Manscaped. Great job to them. Like, nice. Domination, marketing domination.
Yeah, not sure where this podcast episode is going right now.
Bologna top.
Orsolini.
100%.
Finally, a consistent season for Orsolini. He typically performs in the second half of the season only. He had 11 goals, he had 4 assists, really got revived thanks to the managerial change. Of course, Motta.
Yeah,
Motta, thank you. I was going to call him Grosso, bro. I've been mixing them up.
I
don't like that. Motta has been super, of course, with Bologna and apparently PSG. One of the massive clubs have been looking at Motta as a profile. But he managed to revive Orsolini.
Motta, who I just called Minter, will end up at Inter. He will. He's the future. Like, he'll spend 7 seasons, 8 seasons at Inter. I can see it, bro. I can see it.
That'll be crazy. Shout out Arnautovic.
Yes. Orsolini, no debate for me. The best Italian attacking player this season in the world.
What was Zaccagni?
He contributed more, Orsolini. 11 goals, 4 assists, I believe.
In the league, but...
11 goals, 4 assists. Zaccagni had... I have it written. Control F, Zaccagni.
Enter.
10 goals and 7 assists. Zaccagni had more, but okay. Orsolini is still top. His corners, wow. No, but Orsolini, no debate for me. He can make a dangerous situation out of nothing.
Yes, he has that chaotic play style I really enjoy watching.
Yeah.
And flop.
Harsh, maybe.
Soriano?
No. Zirkzee. He had his...
disagree, sorry.
He had his opportunities to grab goals. Arnie was out injured a lot. He only managed 2, and he played around 13, 14 games.
So good.
He looked good, but he's a striker.
Not a flop, though. Petagna is not my flop for Monza.
He is my flop.
Oh, man's looking at the numbers.
But no, it's not only numbers. It's roles.
For me, Zirkzee was very good at driving, holding up the ball, laying it off to the wingers. He was fine. For me, Soriano started off well, but only managed the season with 15 starts, 1 goal, 3 assists. I thought he started the season well and it was going to be kind of a comeback season for him, but in the end, he proved that he can't do it consistently for 38 games.
Fair enough. Zirkzee for me.
Okay, unsung hero?
Ferguson.
I put Posh.
Fair enough. To me, Ferguson, he kind of started performing under Motta out of nowhere.
He scored a shit ton for what did he end up scoring? 7 goals, 7 goals,
like that. Something like that. But he's an incredibly intelligent footballer. Once Motta came in and utilized him correctly, he was the key outlet for them in midfield. One of their most important players this season, if not the most important player.
Yeah, he was amazing this season. 23
years old.
Lewis Ferguson. He scored 7 goals this season. That's super.
Unsung hero for me.
For me, it was Stefan Posch, who played as right back. He got 6 goals and 2 assists from right back. He looked incredible, in my opinion. I thought he at one point he was one of the best performing defenders goal-wise in Europe's top 5 leagues. Mm-hmm. Great player, unsung hero for me.
I'm just going to argue with you for a second, because you said man's looking at the numbers. I think you have to consider them. I don't think it's, and you'll notice that a lot of the times, I think if you look at a lot of the decisions I will make in my tops, flops, and whatever, I'll say, regardless of these numbers, he was influential. He held the ball, he controlled the tempo.
But that's Zirkzee.
Did this, did that. I understand. But you remove Arnautovic. You bring on Zirkzee. He's got 14 to 15 matches to establish himself. Yes, he moved the ball around, not as efficiently. He was good, but he wasn't insane. In front of goal, he shits himself. he's improving. He's only 22 years old. Very, very interesting player coming from Bayern Munich. However, with Arnautovic out injured, you bring on Zirkzee, he's not getting you goals, and they ended up playing Barrow up front. So Barrow can get them goals, because the striker needs to score. Yeah. He does.
Fair enough.
And I think I would consider him my flop because he's so raved about because he came from Bayern Munich. And the expectations were, yes, too high for where he is. So the expectations skewed the performances.
Fair enough. I never expected him to get many goals this season. Every time I watch Zirkzee, he passes the eye test with flying colours. I think he's a super
His movement is brilliant.
Brilliant player. He glides. I would not call him the flop this season.
Fair.
Best victory, 1-0 at home to Inter.
Fair enough, I agree.
Okay, they also had 2-0 away to Atalanta, 3-0 as well on the derby, which was a massive victory for them.
Yeah.
Worst loss for me was 6-1 away to Inter.
Yeah, their best win and their worst loss were against the same team.
Yes, and the 6-1 came first, the one that came after.
Exactly, which makes it.
It makes it better.
Yeah.
Yes. Torino.
Tony Sanabria.
Yes, bro. Finally, we give it to someone who has always stepped up in tough moments, a man who has always played second fiddle, a man who is not praised often enough, but who has always delivered when called upon. Tony Sanabria finished the season with 12 goals and 4 assists and hardly ever started the games. Tony Sanabria, for me, is Torino's best player this season.
All the doubt about their lack of number 9, but he is actually, genuinely, a great fucking striker. He scored some true number 9 goals, some goals that some true number 9s wouldn't score, and he also has those creative qualities of a trequartista, which actually brings a lot to his game. He's a phenomenal striker. I would take him at Milan. I'll go so far as to say that. Tony Sanabria had a magnificent season. Magnificent.
Now the flop. 3-1 Pellegrini. Alright, I'll die on this hill, bro. This was his chance. He has been back in Italy for a while now. Torino had a gap in that attack. Of course, he had the chance to establish himself. He managed 2 goals only.
Yeah.
4 starts all season. He also scored for the under-21s against France yesterday.
Oh,
yeah,
I saw a good header. Tonali assisted.
Exactly, yes.
Unsung.
Samuele Ricci.
Fair enough, I considered him.
Okay, I thought he was great in midfield, kept everything ticking. He's young, he's talented, managed 2 goals, 1 assist, was an amazing player.
I had the question of Ricci versus Ilic, because when Ilic came in, he looked
I thought
really
about
good.
that as well.
I had the thought of Miranchuk versus Vlasic as well. They have a lot of really good key pieces. To me, the unsung hero, very unsung, Buongiorno.
Buongiorno was super.
His second in Air Challenges 1, aerial duels.
In the league?
Yep.
Ooh.
So that's 107 Air Challenges 1 all season. He was in 181 Air Challenges, which is 7th in Serie A. He had 176 pass interceptions, which is 16th in Serie A. And he averaged around 5.43 pass interceptions per game, which put him in the 85% percentile. Just a fantastic season by Buongiorno.
Super player, bro. Very good shout. Also, Buongiorno is a great word. Love the way Brad Pitt says it in Inglourious Basterds. Buongiorno. Yeah, great player, good talent. Breaking news.
Oh, no,
Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted that Inter are in fact closer to the Ram than Milan are. We won't get into the discussion, but I thought might as well make this podcast up to date. No, really.
Devastating.
Yes, we have to record with Twitter open nowadays because shit moves so quickly.
Yeah.
Now,
best win for Torino.
2-1 victory at home to Milan.
Who did you say for? Samuele Ricci.
Yes.
Yeah, 2-1 against Milan in the league and 1-0 away in the Coppa.
Yeah,
as well.
they knocked Milan out of the cup.
2 massive wins against Milan.
They also had a 4-0 away victory against the rat in a corner that were Spezia on the penultimate day when they were battling. They were fighting for their lives, and then they beat them 4-0. That's a good victory. That's probably their best victory, come to think of it. But no,
2-1 against Milan.
Yeah, better. Now, worst loss, I would say 4-2 away to Juve because it was a derby and because Torino are better than that nowadays. Torino shouldn't be conceding 4 to Juve. Torino
I
have
guess.
Juve, Madonna. Juric at the helm.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't be conceding 4 to Juve.
If you lose to Spezia, it's your worst loss of the season, and Torino lost to Spezia 1-0 at home.
Okay.
So that's that.
Fair enough. Moving on to Monza. Top.
Yes. I know you can compare Caprari's contributions to Carlos Augusto, who's a defender, and Churia as well, who he is well behind. But his impact is still the strongest. He's the best player on the pitch. When Monza play, he's winning fouls, he's taking shots, he's influencing the team, and he's naughty. So to me, Caprari takes it.
You're serious?
He's their star player. Caprari is Monza's star player.
Disagree. Didn't think he was consistent enough.
But is he not Monza's
Their
star player? Yes.
I mean, on paper, in theory, sure. But I thought, for example...
What do you mean on paper? On paper is the one that has the better stats.
Yeah, I mean, you look at you watch Monza's games this season, it was the Carlos Augusto show, bro. He linked up brilliantly with the midfield to attack. You look at, for example, Churia as well out wide. He was incredible as well.
But Churia, for example, towards the end of the season, Caprari was a menace, even when he wasn't scoring or assisting, which I understand he didn't have as many contributions as Carlos and as Churia. But he was that influence for Monza. He was the player you look out for when you're playing against Monza. You put two men on him because he's creating.
How many starts did he even have by the end of it?
Caprari.
I don't even know if he started that many games, bro. Caprari.
You're joking, bro.
I swear to God, bro.
You're joking.
32 starts, 5 goals, 2 assists. Okay, 32 starts are a shit ton.
Forget the goals and assists, because he was their most influential player.
I know, bro, but I still disagree with you. Whenever I watched Monza, it wasn't Caprari who stood out to me. It was Carlos Augusto, man. Carlos Augusto was incredible.
In moments, yes, Carlos Augusto stood out to me. He was defensively sound and his output for a defender was magnificent. But again, just the amount of fouls that Caprari won, the amount of times he created space for his teammates, is just super, super dangerous. To me, he's the most influential player in that team.
Fair enough.
Barring the numbers.
Okay, agree to disagree there. I'm going to stick to Carlos Augusto. Incredible season. He's wanted all over Europe, even Newcastle apparently are after him. Him, his mother and his dog as well. Flop.
I've praised Petagna for his hold-up play and 7 assists. I understand his industry, but 4 goals is too little. He's been regressing in his career.
Okay, I put Cranio. This is the same.
Fair.
1 appearance. Mardi close second for getting stabbed. But Cranio is my flop of the season.
Fair enough, makes sense.
Yeah. Unsung hero, Itzo.
Yeah. Brings a lot to the game from centre back, and he's always on it. He's always in the mood to play football. He's
ballsy, he's tough, but he's elegant on the ball. He hardly ever puts a foot wrong. He contributes wonderfully to link-up play. He has the technique of a midfielder.
Yes, literally. He reminds me a lot, nowhere near the same quality, but no, the kind of centre back Ramos is. It was very similar. Pinging balls from the back, good in the air, tough motherfucker, tattoos all over.
Can feint and drop the striker pressing.
Yeah, he's very street smart as well. He's a bit of a Teo in that sense. He knows who's where, he knows who's on a yellow, all that. Yeah. Love it so. I've always had him on my Fanta. I think 3 seasons in a row. I think I had him on my Fanta.
There we go. Best win for Monza for me was the 2-0 away to Juventus, the 1-0 away to Inter, the 2-0 at home to Napoli. Now, you look at this, okay, you have the 2-0 away to Juventus, it came after the news of the points deduction. The 2-0 at home to Napoli was while Napoli were hungover, so that leaves the 1-0 away to Inter, and for me that's their best victory.
Disagree. Now, not because it was their most convincing victory, but it will go down in history for being their first victory in Serie A. It was a 1-0 win over Juve, and the first of many Pullman di Troia this year.
Very, very good. Yeah, to be fair, everyone has a victory over Inter this season.
Yeah, it's true.
The worst loss.
3-0 to Salernitana.
Yes. And then Monza 3-0 Salernitana the next game. So they got their revenge.
Yeah.
Agreed. Great season by Monza after they sacked Stroppa and brought in Palladino.
Yep.
They turned things around.
Promoted Palladino.
Yeah, promoted actually, you're right. They were the best performing newly promoted team in the top 5 leagues.
Ever in history, I would fucking say, in Serie A.
I don't know if it's
I don't know if the
statistic for the season holds well, huh?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Udinese. I hate Udinese, by the way. I find it very
fucking
hard.
despise Udinese, man.
find it really hard.
They're that physical, annoying team that doesn't really play well together, man.
And they're that team that when they're doing well, it's almost like their president goes down to the changing room and goes like, whoa, relax. I don't want to do this well. 10th is good, but don't be anywhere near the top 7, you know?
Literally.
Roberto Pereira.
Yes.
34 appearances, 5 goals, 7 assists. A tireless worker. He's technically superior to his teammates. He is a player whose industry I respect a lot and who just works tirelessly.
Yeah, not exactly because of his performances, because he wasn't that great if you compare him to the last seasons, but he was versatile. He was playing as a right wing back as well as a centre mid, as an attacking mid. And just his leadership qualities are exemplary for his teammates who tend to be a little bit hot-headed. Not that he's not a hothead himself, but he does keep a cool head. Beto also got 10 goals this season too, and it's his second good season, so keep an eye on Beto.
Keep an eye on him. He's kind of appreciating at a slow and steady pace.
Yeah.
Flop. By the way, also honorable shout out, honorable mention to Samardzic, who had a very good season.
Yeah, as well.
Flop for me was it was hard to choose because there wasn't a clear flop.
No.
But I thought Silvestri dipped this season.
He did dip, and I thought of Silvestri.
Who's yours?
I put Tovan.
Oh yeah, he was brought in and did nothing.
541 minutes of play, he should have made more of an impact.
Yeah, he didn't do anything, bro.
Nothing. And this is the same guy that was linked to Milan for 2
so
seasons
long.
in a row. So I was a bit disappointed when watching Tovan play football. Not only not contributing, but watching him play football, I was a bit disappointed.
Next up is my favorite type of beach, sandy, Loveridge.
Yeah, I agree. Our unsung hero, Sandy motherfucking Loveridge.
37 appearances, meaning
Yes.
he only missed 1 game this season. 5 goals, 6 assists, workhorse in the midfield. A great season for him overall, and you hardly ever hear his name.
Agree.
Best
I
win?
think our best
After-
win and worst loss will be the same.
Best win was 4-0 to Roma,
Yep.
and the worst loss was 3-0 to Udinese. No,
To Bologna.
To Bologna, yes.
Yeah.
I wrote to Udinese.
I do that so
Because
much,
I'm
bro.
dumb.
I do that so much. But yeah, I agree. 4-0 to Roma in the opening games of the season. We're like, Udinese seem pretty good this year. Then they beat Roma 4-0. You're like, okay, they seem amazing this year. And then the dip they had, the tipping point was, not the tipping point, but the epitome of their bad performances was their 3-0 loss to Bologna. Because they were fighting, for 8.
They were on par, man.
They were on par. They
shouldn't have lost 3-0. 3-0 is a
Exactly.
fucking.
They had opposite
smoke show.
seasons.
It's
They had
blood,
opposite
yeah.
seasons.
Sassuolo. Now, despite struggling with injuries and having a tough season overall, I'm still going to give my top to Mimmo.
12 goals and 7 assists.
Yes, Berardi.
In 26 games, you have to. And his leadership as well. And the way he turns nothing into something. Berardi.
Yes.
Berardi. Shout out, obviously, to
Lauriante.
but he did dip in Q4 and a little bit in Q3 as well.
Bro, I'm not
Mimmo.
familiar with this term.
It's
terminology.
business terms. Quarter
Q4,
1,
yeah.
quarter 2, quarter
And why are
3,
you
quarter
why are
4.
you using business terms on our fucking podcast, bro?
It makes sense though. In the last quarter of the season, in Q4.
It sounds super American. Now Jerry would like that.
Oh, Jerry, let
Jerry.
him cook.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
America! Fuck yeah! We're too optimistic, man. We're too optimistic.
We'll see. Let him cook. So Sassuolo flop. There are too many to choose from. You've got Tresoldi, you've got a red card every game.
Yeah.
You've got Bayrami, who I'm not even sure landed in fucking Reggio Emiliano. You've got Consigli, who looked like he was bought for a few
He
games.
fucking kept masturbating in the shower all
Yeah,
season.
but for me, the flop of the season is Pinamonti.
I agree.
Because Sassuolo are a very attacking team, very dynamic team, who a striker should be able to score way more than 5 goals on a team like this. I mean, again, like they score goals.
It's not only that he didn't score, but his hold-up play wasn't
everything,
good.
everything.
He
He
seemed
was
out
on a
of place.
different wavelength
Yes,
completely to his
completely.
teammates.
Really out of place.
And they would play him a great ball. He wouldn't get it, and then he'd point in front of him saying, "I wanted it here."
Bad
Like,
attitude.
Adapt to your teammates. You're the new one.
Exactly. Fucking idiots.
Hi guys, on this episode we have Pinamonti as a guest. Imagine that.
My God. One day, yeah?
One day maybe. Hopefully not. I mean, I don't speak Italian, and I highly doubt they speak. Unsung hero.
So I put Frattesi.
I put Maxime.
Maxime was out quite a bit this season, though.
He was, but he's still got the numbers up. If you give me 3.58 seconds, I will find it. Count.
1, 2, 3.58.
There we go. So Maxime Lopez had 25 starts, 5 appearances off the bench, so still managed 30 appearances in a 38-game season. Was always one of the best players in the pitch when he played. Similar industry to Benasser and Lobotka, for example. I think Maxime Lopez would be up there, close to those guys. Not quite at that level, but a very underrated player. A player whose name is not mentioned often enough, and for me, it's my unsung hero.
Yeah. He's great. And last season, I believe I had him as my unsung for Sassuolo. Had a far better season than they did last year. To me, Frattesi was a super important player for them. Maybe it's not recognized enough. He had 7 goals from midfield for a team that struggled. 7 goals from your midfielder is super important. And just the way he does carry the ball from midfield to attack is brilliant. He's up and down, he's box to box. I would take him at Milan, Frattesi. I think he's a brilliant player, only 23 years old, very young for a midfielder, same age as Tonali, I believe. He is one of the next big things for Italy.
Agreed, and he was actually with Monza and Serie B, scored a shit ton of goals with them over there as well, has been progressing very nicely.
That's where he made his mark before the Under-21 World Cup, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh. These guys know ball. Best win for Sassuolo was their 5-2 victory away to Milan, or their 5-0 home victory to Salernitana. Of course, the Milan one is more significant.
I didn't put the Milan one because it's when Milan were significantly struggling. Like, that was literally at the peak of Milan's struggles. Like, we weren't hopeful for that game, kind of thing.
But it's still massive to put 5 past Milan.
Absolutely. But I think that
away from home,
beating Roma 4-3 away from home, when Roma managed to put 3 past Sassuolo and Sassuolo managed to bite back and put 4 past them. I think their heart, their determination, that to me is a top victory, because they left everything in the pitch.
Okay, that's an interesting perspective. That's good. Fair enough. Worst loss?
3-0. To who?
Bologna in the derby. Terrible.
Fair? It's a derby. I forgot that's a derby, man. I tend to forget that that's a derby.
What's it called? The Alpaponi?
Dell'Appennini.
Appennino.
Appennino. One of those. The Apennines.
The Apennine derby.
Yeah. You lose to Sampdoria and you're a doo-doo fucking shit brain, man. they lost at home to Sampdoria 2-1. That's fucking a massive loss for them, man. With Caputo on the other end as well.
Empoli.
So, yeah. They say Caputo on the other end. Caputo's at Empoli nowadays.
Yeah, bro. What are you talking about?
Was he at Sampdoria, Caputo?
He was, yes.
He was, okay. So
Sampdoria originally.
I'm way behind. Empoli. Top. You go.
Cambiaghi.
Vicario.
I'm gonna change Vicario. I agree.
No.
Fuck Cambiaghi, man.
Fuck Cambiaghi.
No, dude. I put Cambiaghi because he started 12 and came on 16 times, but was their best goal scorer behind Caputo, who underperformed. And I thought Cambiaghi was a young player who came on and really impressed. Vicario, though, you are absolutely right. There was no one better than fucking Vicario on goal this season.
Think so.
Honestly, like,
best keeper in the league this year. By far.
Just simply fuck stats. Just look at him. Watch him. He's incredible.
He's a cat, bro.
And now he plays for Spurs.
Fuck my life! Out of all teams as well in England, Spurs, man.
Sperms. Flop.
Sperms. It's so good. I never heard it before. And they literally called Spurs just at the M. Fucking Spurs.
Tottenham Hotspurs.
Tottenham Hotspurs.
I'm so sorry, guys.
Their flop, Satriano. Boom.
Destro.
It was one of the strikers.
At least Satriano's young.
One of the strikers.
To me, managed 1 goal.
You move from a big team to a small team, and you're supposed to be the shit, like. And he went and you know, One of the reasons I dislike Satriano. I have FM on my phone with Empoli, right? And I started Satriano a lot of the times, and because he was great in the air, and I did early crosses from midfield, and he was scoring a bunch. And then I emailed Inter. I'm like, listen, I'd like to buy this guy. What's your quote for him? 80 million.
Bro.
80 million. He had 16 goals for me the season. I finished 5th with Empoli. Crazy, man. Fucking what, bro? 80 million?
There's nothing worse than playing any FIFA or manager mode or anything that isn't FM is annoying.
Yeah. No,
FM is
100%.
great. I just wish I had the time for it, man. Because if I had no
On the
job,
phone, it's way simpler. Emails, skip fucking through them.
I don't
tap,
afford
tap,
to be
tap.
addicted to video games.
I'm not
because I
addicted
would
to
get
it,
addicted to it.
I'm not
like that.
addicted. I'm on a flight and I play it. I'm in a cab and I'm playing it, whatever, like, man. But yeah, with Satriano, I had
That's
higher
what you're doing when you're not making
expectations.
snippets.
I'm not making snippets. Come on, I'm making vox pops outside San Siro, dog.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Do you want to count?
Jake makes most of the snippets, guys. Well done to fucking Jake. Well done, Jake. Everyone give him a big gas round of applause. Well done.
Thank you.
You're way quicker, way more efficient than me, basically. You're just better than me.
Weaponize
though.
incompetence.
You're just
No.
way better than me.
Unsung hero. Parisi.
Akpa Akpro. Wait,
That's-
let me
you know
try
what?
that again. Akpa Akpro.
Sometimes, what was it? The he, him, she, her, akpak, bro.
They, them.
Yeah,
Bro.
that's it for the day. Yes, bro. To be honest with you, Parisi is more rated than
Yeah, he's
Akpak,
more
bro.
sung.
Yeah, he played 33 games, instrumental. Moves into midfield similarly to Theo Hernandez in that aspect.
Yeah.
You're probably right again, bro. You've outdone me with the Empoli prep, I must say.
Yes.
You've swayed me. Akpro was incredible this season, and I never thought he had it in him when he was with Lazio. And this year at Empoli,
You know
played
what
a
he
great
brought to Empoli, man, to me?
balance.
Firstly, balance, yes. They had beautiful balance in midfield, Marin in the pocket, him as the box-to-box. But to me, he didn't allow Empoli to get bossed around too often. Because he was just that big motherfucker who'd break down play, who didn't shy away from a yellow card when he needed to get one. His leg was always extended, ready to go, man. I really enjoyed that back, bro. And you called him Vieira on one of the episodes.
Bro, he played there. He had a really good season.
A very good season. Very good season.
Empoli are very exciting.
Yeah.
Their best win, 1-0 away to Inter.
I mean, so
Everyone
for
got
you,
one. No, man, how many are Inter best wins? One against Inter, one against Inter. Everyone got one.
Now, to me, it doesn't matter. Not it doesn't matter. Not it doesn't matter. But it's harsh to say that Juve's worst loss was the one against Empoli 4-1. But you can't say it's Empoli's best win. No, they had just confirmed survival. They were all hungover. They went out partying and they beat Juve 4-1. You put 4 past Juve, no matter what the situation is. Bragging rights forever. That goes down in Empoli's history forever.
Yeah, the problem was
4-1.
that game was a bit redundant.
I know,
Because
I know
Empoli,
it's harsh on
in fact,
Juve, but credit
not
to the
only,
teams
but
nonetheless.
Zanetti, to be honest, Zanetti spoke after that game and he was like, to be honest, I was worried my boys were going to get destroyed because we haven't stopped drinking.
Yeah.
They had just like
Confirmed
survived.
survival. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So fair enough, okay. The 1-0 against Inter was during crunch time of the season though. It was at a time where everything was still up, was still to play for, and they managed to beat Inter who were solid. So I think that's the best one. But
yeah,
4-1
that's
against
good.
Juve, of course, that's the game they'll be telling their kids about.
Exactly.
Worst loss for me, match day 1-1 loss to Spezia.
Agreed.
Empoli have much more quality than Spezia. They should not be losing to them, especially in the opening.
And they
game of the
were
season.
better than Spezia that game. They were just wasteful. Now, obviously, match day 1, so you can't critique them too much on that, but you lose to Spezia and you're, much like Sampdoria, you're a doo-doo shit.
Salernitana.
So, last season, we couldn't imagine Salernitana staying in Serie A, let alone dancing in Serie A. Dia, Abulaye, Dia, Fikwa,
Equa.
Ekwa,
il-bomber di granatek che solo kontri sicuramente non ti lascia i ricordi.
He made them dance this season with 16 goals and 6 assists.
Who would have thought we'd be seeing Salernitana fans taunting the opposition as often as they did, putting those finger goggles in their eyes, bro, imitating.
But that's it. No,
the
it's
Bulaya celebration.
exactly that.
What a player, what a player. And if this Thuram deal doesn't go through for Milan or Inter, for me,
Give me
you
Dia.
go for Dia.
Yes,
anyway,
yes.
any one of them.
Yes.
It'd be good at Inter, it'd be good at Milan. Because he is a high IQ player.
I need Thuram at Milan. You don't understand, bro. You don't understand. If he goes to Inter, I'm gonna be whoa. I might not do the podcast
Yeah,
next
but
year.
already,
Like,
no.
I'm joking.
Mint off right now.
I'm joking.
His lips.
Like that meme of DJ Khaled.
Yeah. It's not DJ Khaled, it just looks like him.
Is it fucking not DJ
It's
Khaled,
not DJ
bro?
Khaled licking his lips.
You're joking. It's
not.
so DJ Khaled.
I don't think it is.
Anyway, who's your flop for Salernitana?
Major. He should have walked into the starting 11 and he didn't.
Fair.
Came to life a bit towards the end of the season, still my flop.
Fair. I put Lovato. Because you'd think that leaving Atalanta for Salernitana would make him an important player for them, but at 26 years old, he still looked 19 this season.
Lovato's 26 nowadays.
Yep.
That's wrong.
Google it just to make sure.
That can't be right, bro. Lovato.
He looked 19 for sure.
Okay, give me
Okay.
the age of Demi Lovato. if any of you are wondering, Demi Lovato is 30 years old. By the way, how is she still only 30, by the way?
Hey.
But Salernitana's Lovato's 23. Don't know where you're getting your information
My
from.
god, what the
Yes,
fuck?
yes.
Transfer market, bro.
No, bro.
But still, you move from Atalanta to go to Salernitana and you start, bro. You start.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I'm gonna go for Majore still because he was the captain of Spezia. Seemed like he was a better player than everyone else over there. Came to Salernitana. Koulibaly still managed to start over him, and Majore barely featured. Unsung hero, I put Sepe.
Ooh.
Sepe did brilliantly. He had 17 appearances, 17 great appearances until Ochoa was brought in and he was forgotten. So that is the definition of an unsung hero, a forgotten hero. Sepe contributed greatly to Salernitana's survival in Serie A this season.
Fair enough. Not that unsung for me, but I put Kandreva because he's typically judged for his contributions to goals, but he did far more than just 7 goals and 5 assists this season with leadership qualities and consistency. For a 36-year-old to play 35 matches in a season, you judge him on his numbers, fuck you.
Yeah, honestly,
Kandreva for me.
Kandreva was great. Love Kandreva. Scored a few brilliant goals
My
this season
god,
as well.
my god.
Amazing goals.
Beautiful, by the way, we have some beautiful Kandreva merch on our website. Do you know that goal where he extended and he
Against
tripped
Roma.
the goal? Yeah. We have that in merch on
You can
bucket
get
hats,
it as a sticker if you want.
a sticker as well. If
Just
you
over
know.
€1.
Yeah.
Best win. 3-1 away to Lazio, 1-0 at home to Atalanta.
So I wrote, I would say their 3-1 away win to Lazio, or their 1-0 at home to Atalanta, but I can't not say their 3-2 win against Udinese that confirmed survival. Who was it that grabbed the goal? Trustekong grabbed the goal at the end.
God,
That
man,
to me
that game.
fucking
I watched that
takes
game
it,
with
man.
Adam Ryan.
Yes, I was showering when the goal happened. I watched the majority of the game though.
That's a fair shout. Worst loss 8-2 to Atalanta. We move.
For sure, we move. Lecce.
Lecce. Oh my god, I
course.
forgot. I forgot Lecce. I
Don't
went
get to
straight
do that real
Spezia.
quick.
Give me a second.
Okay, let me pause it. We're back. I'm your host Matt, with the guy that thinks that there are 19 teams in Serie A. Guy to my right.
Forgot Lecce, who I love, by the way. No offense, Lecce.
you
Love
adore
watching
them.
you.
You adore them.
No, bro, don't even joke.
Okay, I know.
Love Lecce.
I know, but there are 19 teams.
All right, top. Now, this was my debate that I had in these 5 minutes that we've been paused. So you look at the two factors that kept Lecce alive. Okay, so in order to survive, you must first not concede goals, but then you must also score goals to win games. Now, what do you prioritize? As a newly promoted team, scoring goals is important, but not conceding is even more important. Now, is it? It's debatable. I think that Titi brought a certain defensive stability that was crucial to
Definitely.
Lecce's survival. Titi not only brought this defensive stability, he also carried the ball forward, he drove well, he had an incredible season.
Revitalized through this experience as well.
So I would actually go for Titi over Strefezza, who had 8 goals and 4 assists. And in fact, Lecce never actually conceded more than 2 goals in a game until the very last game of the season. So, and that's all thanks to Titi and Bascarotta's partnership. And I'm going to go for Titi. Yes, you?
I'm going to go for Strefezza because obviously you have to take their defense into account. So well done to all those 4 defenders. The Umtitis, the Bascarottos, the Jeandres, all
The
of
Gallos.
them. The Gallos. Amazing back 4 that remained consistent throughout the entire season. Strefezza to me looked like a Serie A player when they had just gotten promoted to Serie A. He was that X factor for them. 8 goals and 6 assists this season. He won a lot of fouls. He was constantly crossing the ball in, having a pop from distance. He's who you would fear when you go up against Lecce. Their strikers didn't have phenomenal seasons. They had Cisse with 6 goals and Colombo with 5 goals. On the other side, there was Di Francesco and Banda battling it out. Di Francesco kind of took the cake over there. Banda, you'll
But
see
not
that.
quite tops, bro. They're still quite far from the
Exactly.
influence
Yeah. Strefezza stood out in that front 3. He stood out in the entire team for me, so he has to take the top.
Flop, Pezzella for me. Former Parma and Atalanta man who should have played way more than he did, especially when you go from starting most games with Atalanta to barely featuring for Lecce. Granted, I think Baroni had his back 4 laid out and he stuck with them all season, but Pezzella should have definitely got more of a sniff than he did.
When you consider that Banda was brought in for 4 million when they got promoted to Serie A, and he failed to cement himself in the starting 11 because of Di Francesco, I would put him as my flop. Mainly because of the 4 million for a team that would be tight on budget. That's the reason I put him. I don't think he had a disgusting season, don't get me wrong. But I think a lot of people would have been hyped about Banda, and I don't think he lived up to that hype. So, flop.
I disagree, but I respect your opinion, bro. Don't worry. Okay. I thought Banda was extremely technical, skillful, joy to watch. Granted, extremely raw, but I wouldn't call him the flop by far.
Okay.
Unsung, for me, it was easy. I think we might have the same answer here.
3-2-1.
Hjulmand is a player that you don't notice very much unless you watch very closely and you watch how the team operates.
Yeah.
But he is the glue. No Hjulmand, no Lecce.
Exactly.
Another fantastic player in his position. Same metronome kind of role
Yep.
that we're talking about.
I have the fact that he's a metronome, he's very street smart, and he's very consistent, and he linked the defense to attack very well and broke down play very well.
Top clubs are all after Hjulmand. I can
Yep,
tell you.
they signed him for 15 million. Lecce signed Hjulmand for 15 million.
Wagwan.
They fucking balled out for him, bro.
Best win for me, 2-1 against Lazio.
They beat Atalanta 2-1 twice this season, so they got bragging rights over a Europa League team, Gasperini's men. So
Fair
to
enough.
me, that takes it.
Have Lazio second in the league. That's also quite nice.
Yeah.
Worst loss was the Verona, no?
They lost twice to them, double loss to Verona. You lose once to Verona and you're a doo-doo shit. And then they lost twice to Verona, so doo-doo shit. Love Lecce though.
Spezia.
No, Verona.
Oh,
Because they,
of course.
beat them, so they did you do Verona? You're joking. You didn't do Verona either, bro. You're a mess, man. I'm gonna pause it again so that Jake can do his prep. Okay, we're back. It's your host Matt with the guy that thinks that there are 18 teams in Serie A.
Me, bro.
Okay.
18. Some
Verona.
people think that should be the case, by the way.
Ugh, idiots. Doesn't make that much of a difference, but it does. Hey, it gives more teams
Totally does.
opportunities.
Why would every other league in the top 5 have 20, but Italy has 18? What's Italy lacking that other leagues
Fair enough.
have? Yeah. But
Who's Verona's top for you?
Verona's top for me is Darko Lazovic, who had 4 goals and 6 assists this season. He was versatile, played in different roles, wasn't only out on the wing. I thought he created goal-scoring opportunities where the midfield couldn't, and scored chances that the strikers couldn't as well. So
Yeah.
for me, Lazovic was the top.
He hit a new level this season, Lazovic.
Yes.
He was known as the left wing back for Verona, but played as left wing, he played as attacking midfielder, occasionally even as fucking striker. Lazovic, for me, easy.
Flop.
Ceccherini was beaten a lot.
He was beaten a lot.
Got a couple of red cards, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought K-Dog Lassie, bro.
K-Dog Lassie, my expectations weren't high for him. Not that mine were for Ceccherini, but if you look at their back three, Verona, it could be any one of those. Any one of those. But to me, Ceccherini looked poor for the entire season. I don't even think that, what's his name? Not Dragosin, not Dragovski, what's his name?
Who are you thinking about, bro?
Davidovic.
Oh, okay.
Davidovic, he wasn't great either. Like, he was beaten a lot for pace, man, throughout the season.
Okay. I think Lasagna's time in Serie A is over.
Probably.
I think they should go.
Player.
Yeah, he's Serie A, right? There are strikers in Serie A who are better than Kevin Lasagna. He played 26 games for Kevin Lasagna, 1 goal, 1 assist in 1,577 minutes. That is not good enough.
No.
Kevin Lasagna is my flop.
Fair enough. Unsung hero. Mine is Ngonj. A lot of people wouldn't consider him to be one of the tops because he came in halfway through the season. He was out injured for a lot of that time. But he saved them from relegation, quite frankly, especially in the Spezia playout. He was on it, bro. He was on it in the most important game of their season. To me, he's the unsung hero.
I wouldn't call him unsung, though. He scored 2 goals in the playout final. He scored many goals to keep their fight for survival possible. I wouldn't call him unsung.
But you see that? You see how you just instantly thought of the last game? When he came in, he changed. He changed things. They went on that streak because of Ngonj.
Everyone knows that it was because of Ngonj. You ask the people of Verona, why did Hellas stay up? They would all say Ngonj was a massive factor to it. I don't know. I look at Montepò, for example.
Montepò, I have him listed as Montepò and Verdi are very good shouts.
Not only Verdi, Hien, the centre back as well.
Hien, yeah,
amazing player.
Very good. But so yours is Hien.
Mine, in the end, is Montepò, dude.
Fair enough. Yes, but he saved the penalty in the playout, so is he. Fucking twerp. Okay, best win for them?
Best win for Hellas Verona, there were not many. We've got the 2-1 against Sampdoria, we've got the 2-0 against Cremonese, we've got the 2-0 against Lecce, 2-1 against Sassuolo, 2-1 against Bologna, the Bologna one is mine.
Bologna? Yes. Mine's the playout final victory, man. They were up to the task. Right. Absolutely.
That's obviously their best win because they stayed in Serie A because of it. Yes, let's go with that.
Their worst loss has to be.
But sure.
Their worst loss has to be. My God, I have their 6-0 against Verona. What am I doing? 6-0
against Inter, bro.
Against Inter, yes, yeah. While they were fighting relegation.
The worst one.
Terrible.
I can't believe we both made that mistake.
Yeah. The Fenix.
Anyway. After Verona, we've got Cremonese.
No,
Spezia.
Dog, no.
Don't worry, I have them prepared. My top of the season is also the flop of the playout. It's Nzola. He's got 13 goals, 2 assists in 32 games. Was by far their best player in the league. Disappointed them in the playout, but yes.
13 goals for one of the worst teams in the league. Wow, man, you have to hand it to Nzola. Yeah. He stays in Serie A. I really see him at Atalanta. Especially if they offload Højlund for the money. I think Nzola is a very budget replacement for a relegated side.
Turns out Manchester United are shocked by Atalanta's demands of 80 million.
80 million.
I think they forgot how much they paid for little Traore. But whatever. Flop!
Shumarodov joined from Roma and failed to insert himself.
Agreed. I also have someone different though, Caldara.
Yeah, Caldara wasn't great, eh?
Caldara isn't great in general. Has so much experience, a great CV with Juve and Milan, but really doesn't play like it. Unsung hero?
I have Ampadu for his versatility and his industry. He was everywhere for them. I was
gonna put him, but he made a few mistakes. He was dribbled kind of easily at times. I think his compatriot at the back, Dimitrios Nicolaou, looked more solid for the majority of the season. I put Nicolaou.
Fair. I think Ampadu would have impacted other areas more than Nicolau. I just think Nicolau was more consistent.
Yeah.
Best win
2-1 over Inter, even though everyone got one.
2-0 over Milan towards the end of the season. Milan were Champions League semi-finals, all that, and Spezia got it done over
Fair
them.
enough, that's a good shout. Worst loss?
4-0. Playout final.
Yeah, fair enough.
Fucking they weren't up to it. Like
They also lost 4-0 at home to Torino with 2 games to go while they were fighting for their lives.
Yes.
That sucked.
Torino were so good in that game, but Spezia were so
Come on.
rubbish.
They were
man.
so shit. They looked destined
shit.
for the drop. At that point.
Literally.
Cremonese.
Top.
Okereke.
3-2. Okereke. 7 goals, 2 assists, scored some fantastic goals, and on his day, he was great.
Yes.
There aren't many players you can look at Cremonese and say they were tops.
It was
In
between him and Valeri from Ciofani.
Yes, but Okereke on his day, still on his day, because he's not consistent, was their top.
Agreed. Flop, Afenajan.
Afenajan, again, joined from Roma, and he looked great at Roma, which is hilarious, and then he failed to insert himself for such a shite team.
23 games, 0 goals, 1 assist in the league.
There you go.
Unsung hero Daniel Ciofani for me. Despite being 37 years old, he managed to get 8 league goals in 32 games. For me, Daniel Ciofani is the unsung hero.
Fair enough. I have Meite as the unsung hero.
Bro, I love Meite.
I think he was brilliant. I think he was really good.
Yes, good player. Best win?
2-1 over Mourinho's Roma.
Agreed. Worst loss?
5-1 against Bologna.
Okay, I went for the 1-0 against Sampdoria.
Like, the 5-1 against Bologna, not because it was 5-1 to Bologna, because Orsolini was on it that game, everyone was on it for Bologna in that game, but every single flaw they had that I noticed throughout the entire season got exploited in that one game against Bologna.
Yeah.
So, though that was the game of the magnificent Orsolini corner.
Ah, yes. Fantastic corner by Orsolini.
Magnificent corner there.
All right, up next.
Sampdoria.
Top.
The final one.
Manolo Gabbiadini.
Yes.
35 games, 7 goals, 3 assists. And finally, a season without many injuries. You don't often say that Gabbiadini managed 35 games in a season, so for me, he performed very well this year and he was the best player.
Dare we say that he was also versatile after being played out on the wing? we say that he was versatile?
Yes, that's a fair shout. Yes, he played many games out on the wing as well. Poor guy.
Flop.
Sabiri.
Hesse.
Okay, fair enough.
It's supposed to change.
I didn't.
Down. It was like Nani would have been the flop for Venezia.
But my expectations of Hesse were less than my expectations for Sabiri. I didn't expect Sabiri to only have 18 appearances and 2 goals. I thought he would be better. I thought he would be a constant 30 games minimum.
It's true. I'll still say Hesse because still that was like there. He was supposed to help them survive.
He hadn't even been playing football, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
He had like retired or something. Or taking like a gap year from football.
Unsung hero.
Augello.
Nuitink.
Big Bram.
Big fucking Bram.
Nice,
They're both good shouts. Both good shouts.
Augello played every single game except one of them. 37 appearances, 2 goals, 5 assists, solid at the back, good going forward, looks dependable. Could be a vice anyone for the top teams.
Yeah, I agree. I think Nuitink, Udinese let him go prematurely. I think they could have still used him for a couple more years. He joined Sampdoria, and for a while they actually looked decent with Nuitink in place. So
he's good.
To me, he's the unsung hero.
Best
Not that
friend?
they have any heroes after finishing last in Serie A, but
which
whatever.
of Sampdoria's 3 victories was their best one? I'm gonna go for the 3-1 victory over Hellas Verona.
I thought that, but Verona finished in the bottom 4, so I went for their 2-1 away victory to Sassuolo.
Okay, fair
Because Sassuolo were actually okay at times.
Fair enough. Their worst loss, 4-0 away to
3-1.
Salernitana.
Oh, fair enough. I put 5-0 Fiorentina, simply because out of all their losses, it was the worst one.
I put 4-0 to Salernitana because Salernitana aren't as good as Fiorentina.
Yeah, fair enough. Wow, man.
That's that.
Wow.
It was a bumpy ride. Quickly stop before it's 2 hours.
We'll have to prove a point, guys.
Thank you if you made it this far, guys. Do check us out on Instagram and TikTok. If you want to be in touch with us, you can subscribe to our Patreon and we'll add you to the WhatsApp group. It's poppin'. Everything is good. Thank you very much. We love you. And we also have a message from Andy, one of our Patreons.
Let's see.
One of our patrons. Sorry, I'm becoming Matthew.
Let's see what he says. We haven't heard it yet.
We haven't heard it. Let's see.
Become a patron. Patreon of Serie A Spotlight, one of the most comprehensive and in-depth Italian podcasts about Bosch.
Andy!
Go, Andy, about
Love
Bosch,
you, man.
baby. Yes. An Englishman with taste.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, brother. One that would choose a nice cornetto and cappuccino for breakfast rather than a beans on toast. So I have to appreciate Andy. Love you, Andy. Love all our
You're the man,
patrons.
you're a legend.
Love all our listeners. Thank you very much for tuning into this one, guys. We've been Serie A Spotlight. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Give us a 5-star rating wherever you're listening. Feel free to join our Patreon. We're definitely not going to dislike you if you join. And you'll have the opportunity to make your voice heard, just like Andy did. But thank you for listening. Thank you for being so patient with Drake in this episode.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll come up with some shit for next week. So we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
You ain't touching nothing that I do, I mean no disrespect. The bars that they was dropping over there would make them switch connects. Get anything I want and making sure I never miss a step. Only thing we ever focused on is secrets better.